Aloha. Welcome to Marriage on the Spot. We're your co-hosts, Kent and Elizabeth Kitagawa. And today we want to talk about a subject which is, it's important and it's critical actually for the health and growth of our relationship, but it's very hard to define. It's one of those traits, those qualities that is hard to really kind of pinpoint, but you know if it's missing. And that's being present for one another in our relationship.
Yeah, there must be about like air. It's very hard to find the air which I'm breathing. But if it's not here,
You'll know.
I will know. Or maybe I will not know anymore.
That's right. And it is. It is just that critical. You know, a lot of the material we're going to talk about today is actually from a therapist, and he's also an author. His name is Justice Shanfarber, and this is from a post that he made back in February of 2018. And he talks about, one book that he wrote was Why Women Leave Men They Love and What Every Man Needs to Know. And that kind of tells you, that a lot of the complaints that I've even heard, in various forms, is that my spouse is never present. He's just not available to me.
Emotionally
available. And we can do that, we can drift apart. And once we start to drift apart like this, once we have that disconnect emotionally from one another, and it goes on and it goes on, that is like that's like you say, losing air.
Losing air, and what I usually say
for a relationship. Yeah.
You are married, single.
Yeah.
You're just not emotionally connected. You live at the same address, maybe sleep in the same bed, maybe eat meals together, but you're not really. Yeah, you're married single.
You're kind of going through the formalities of a marriage, but you're not really growing, And this is why presence is so important. Having that sense of presence with one another. This is so important because we as human beings have an innate need to feel secure and to feel significant within a relationship. This is, and from infant times, we already start to pick up, our whole belief system, or we start to formulate our whole perception of the world around us and the people, the significant, the important people around us through that sense of, are they there for me?
Even physically, we know that little children, if they don't get touched, there are those studies made. Yeah,
right.
When you don't touch those babies, eventually they die.
Right.
They need to be cuddled.
They need to be cuddled. Right.
They need to be touched. They need to be caressed. So
yeah. There's an innate need, right? Yeah, that need of connection, right? They need to feel that, and we need that as even as adults,
yes.
even more so, but in more subtle ways, maybe, But we still need to have that connection and feel that connection, And this is what will help our relationship to thrive and our family eventually to thrive.
Yeah.
Because this is what we pass on to our children. That sense that they are significant, that they are secure, that they know they can trust us, to be there for them.
That's why we also say when you have to punish a child, with whatever way you punish a child, make sure afterwards you come. I love you still. I really do love you, and can you understand that this was wrong and we have to learn through that, but I do love you and I want you to grow and succeed, to encourage them, and that's really something we have to learn.
Yeah. So what does it mean? When a partner complains you're not present in your relationship, what does that usually mean? Or if someone says my partner is just not present?
I think one of the things I hear often is when that comes up is not present. Yeah, he might sit next to me also, but I know he is on his football game, or he is on something else, or he's looking down on his cell phone or something like this. I wish he would put down his, I'm talking about it goes both ways. So I wish he would put down the newspaper and look at me or touch me, look into my eyes and show me that he is really there and concentrating. And they say when you're really concentrating and focus on someone, your pupil actually
dilates.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't want to go and check that, but we want to sense it, that when we are talking with each other.
Right.
And the previous show was about feeling versus thinking. We were talking there about the feeling, and that to talk and to share the feelings, and that's also a part of being present, listening, not just saying Okay.
Yeah, while you read the newspaper, right?
Okay. Are you done yet? Or is there more to it?
Yeah.
Then we just know, okay, that's not really what's interested in. And we women have to remember that men often want the report. 1, 2, 3, I did this, I did this, I did that. Versus we women would like the rapport. When I did this, what I thought about that and what came out. And then I went over there, and at the same time that Auntie something was there, and she was talking about that and that and that, and it goes a long way to get to the third point. It's the rapport.
Building rapport.
Building rapport. And that's sometimes what we women need. And that's how we function. Versus you guys want the point. Point 1, point 2, point 3. But I'm wondering whether some way down the line you want a little bit more too.
Oh yeah. I think when we guys we still have a need. That's just innate in all of us as human beings. We still have a need. It's how we get that met. So for guys, a lot of the time, it's in shared physical activities that they really start to open up and bond in that way, opening up to one another and sharing their feelings and those that connection, and even this is that sometimes it can be just taking a walk together, or going on a hike together, or, going to the beach, or even maybe playing a sport like tennis or something like this, or it can be going to a mini golf, and just having fun in that way, and that. So finding those balances, right?
Yeah.
Finding the balances there between each other's needs, and what really helps us to open up and relate to each other, so that we and understanding and accepting that this is how my spouse is. This is what makes them unique. This is what makes them special to me.
Yeah, I heard from women saying, he hardly ever talks. He barely says something. But then we went on that long hike, and he wouldn't shut up. He was talking so much. I got to know my husband on that one day better than the last couple years. I didn't know certain things what make him tick. She was so surprised because finally she did something which connects with him, and then he felt sharing it.
Right. And sharing each other's worlds, sharing each other's, activities or interests,
Yeah, well, we women, when we want to share with someone else, with a woman, we usually sit next to each other and talk, and and you know what happened, and blah, 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 blah. But the guys, when we talk with a guy, they rather do something together, and then they naturally open up.
Yeah.
They can't just sit like we women sit and chat.
Yeah.
That's the difference between male and female.
Yeah.
And that's not just your husband, that's not just your wife, that's a general husband, wife, or male, female.
Yeah, that's a
thing.
gender
Brain
difference. Right.
difference.
But it's, I think, being present for one another, is so important. And understanding what opens them up, or what is there, what speaks to them. And allowing for that, making that time for one another. How do you, this article, actually, this blog, was the title of it was Tips for Practicing Presence in Your Relationship. And we have to practice this because too often, as we expect, when we're first dating, of course, and we're first trying to, impress one another, and we're trying to, we want to, get together with that other person as much as possible. We get infatuated with them. And it becomes so natural. And we think that's going to last forever. Oh, this is going to go on forever.
It's getting better and better.
Yeah, we think this is only going to get better once we get married and blah, blah, Well, guess what?
Then,
unfortunately, it does not work that way. First, when you get married, everyday life hits, and especially
the bills come, the children come.
The first child comes, boy, that's going to take a big hit right there.
That throws everything off.
Sure, and so we have to really practice this, make this a habit that we start at the beginning, from the beginning. Just make a choice to say, we're going to carve out time together. We're going to have the date night, whatever you want to call it, the connection time. It can be, like we've mentioned before, 15 minutes a day can do wonders.
That's wonders. And that's why also you hear that there are marriage workshops. It's not marriage play weekends. It's workshop. You work on your marriage. And we also want to encourage in spring, hopefully, we can have a marriage encounter again. In April, we are planning to have a marriage encounter again after we had to cancel both
For this
our
year,
marriage
yes.
encounter this year, unfortunately. But we still have some people, some couples on the list who said, no, we don't want to cancel it. We just postpone along with you guys. And so it's important that you take that time and learn more about your spouse. Just like at the very beginning when you first dated, man, it was no problem to try to learn more about. And then what did you do? And what did your parents do? And how does your brother relate to you there? Or what is that cousins? And blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden it becomes not more interesting to you, maybe. But we have to make it a point. And it's helpful for both sides to know more. And sometimes it helps us also to understand our spouse way more when we know the whole area from the family background, and
Right.
how
Each
they
other's
relate
backstories,
to
right?
these stories.
Yeah. You know, and this is what really builds our histories together. You know, builds our relationship, and what Gary Thomas, you know, who wrote Sacred Marriage, talks about building that sacred history together. You know, understanding one another and spending that time with one another, and the presence. You know, one of the things that we have to be careful, and you know, is to understand ourselves first. And we have to understand our reactions and our responses, where we come, you know, where things come from, you know.
Even the self-talk.
Yes.
You know, what do we say to ourselves
Right.
when certain things happen, or how do we react a certain way? Where does that come from? Is that maybe how my mom or how my sister would have reacted? And so we learn more about that.
We, you know, one thing that we need to, and really work on, is not being judgmental, not being defensive. When we're trying to listen to, when our spouse especially shares something maybe that's bothering them, that somehow something that it comes across as a criticism to us, we've got to be willing, in order to be present, be willing to hear them out and allow them to express what's going on. Especially when you take these times, so that they won't get reactive. So if you go like, well, you did this, and pretty soon, rather than
we pointing finger
at
at
each other, and that really destroys.
And that's why also we say, when we learn about sharing feelings, not to say, how do you make me feel?
Yeah.
Because we learn to own our own feeling, rather than making your spouse responsible for your own feeling. And so it's kind of important that we learn that too. I am me, you are you. But we learn from each other. And it's important that we accept each other's feelings and thoughts, and not asking, why do you do that? Why is that? Why here? I hear that lots of times, that we kept on asking why questions. Certain times, we can ask why or where did that come from. But if we always ask the why question in a kind of negative way, that you want to put your spouse down, why do you do that? Sometimes sometimes we don't know why we do certain things, you know.
Sometimes it's just like we say, you know,
We have to learn to accept
accept
each other.
and just recognizing that we are all full of contradictions, and you know, we all have our different vulnerabilities, and you know, we act, and this is what makes us, you know, unique.
Yeah, even the Lord says, you know, accept one another as I accept you,
Right.
you know, so.
Yeah. And it's because that's being present actually means being vulnerable, you know, to each other, and allowing that other person to have that safety and to be a safe place for that conversation, you know, so that they feel accepted and feel that that we cherish them. And that's an important part. You know, for guys, I think we talk about significance, right? I talked about significance. This is that part of being significant to someone else. For women, it looks, if you ask them, what does that look like? They want to be cherished.
Yes.
They want, you know, they want to have that, you know, that they are primary, that they're, you know, that their husband or their partner cherishes them, you know. And for guys,
they want to be respected.
That's right, appreciated, respected.
Respected for who they are, what they can do, and
just, you know, just being who they are. And
yeah, we women, we get our value from relationships. You know, how well we get along with our co-workers, maybe how we get along with our in-laws, whatever. But you folks, men, get more the relationship or the value of something you can measure. Maybe the income or the size of a house. I remember, I know my brother every time when he tells me that certain people have a new house, and then he says, "Oh, you should see the house. It's way bigger than mine." I said, "I don't care. Yeah, you should see the house. The kitchen is 3 times the size of my kitchen." I don't care, but I like your house. You have a nice house. It's the value.
yeah, how he
He puts a lot of that
achievements,
outside
and
achievement
things,
and finances.
those, like you say, things that are visual, that can be measured, right?
So.
You know, right.
Versus we rather have 3 friends than 3 cars, maybe, or whatever, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, or that closeness of relationship.
Closeness. Yes.
You know, and feeling again, you know, feeling that connection with one another, and you know, and so that the power of presence, of being present in our relationship with one another. I think we cannot emphasize that, you know, because especially in this world today, you know, in our world environment today, there's so many like video games, there's, you know, all these electronics around us, and you know, there's you know, all, you know, virtual reality games and all of these things, you know, to distract us, and that can pull us away from being present and just being there and practicing that. You know, we will use these other things, and you know, they can be. It's okay once in a while, but you don't want it to be the only, you know, virtual games or video games, or, you know, or even, you know, going out guitar playings, you don't want them to be the only way that we can connect. You want to be able to share and be present for our especially through stressful times.
Yeah. Sometimes people ask, or maybe a husband asks, oh, what could I have said? Sometimes it's not what you had to say, or that you
Advice
give an advice or
Yeah.
an answer to something. Sometimes I'm just glad that we can sit together. I'm glad that you trusted me with that. Thank you for sharing with me. I'll pray with you, or something like that. Just that we know that we are heard. That's the biggest presence we actually can.
The present.
The present can become our presence from our spouse.
Yeah.
My birthday present can be having time in a presence one-on-one. Something like that, yeah.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Because it is so important to us, and especially if your love language is quality time,
yes.
which
time
it is for a lot of women, quality time. So practice being present with one another, and make it a point to be mindful of that need for one another, and carve that into your day, carve that into your time. Don't expect that when we have time we'll do. No, you have to
make the time. You have time forever, whatever you want to do usually.
Yes,
but
make it a
make the
priority.
time for each other, because that's what
brings importance.
What your
shows.
marriage goes.
Right, and this shows the priority, the importance, and significance
Yes.
to one another. God bless you.
Thank
Thank you very much for showing up and sharing this time with us.
See you again on Marriage on the Spot. God bless.